And welcome into the KARK Capitol View app extra for a Sunday morning. We are rejoined by Jonathan Martin from the New York Times. Thanks so much for sticking around for a little bit of extra smartphone entertainment.
Let's talk about something that happened this week. Wednesday and Thursday, House Speaker John Boehner basically kind of teed off on the Tea Party at the national level. Yeah. Basically said, frankly, I think they've lost all credibility. I don't care what they do. Has he seen poll numbers that show the Tea Party is unpopular? Does he have votes in his pockets to get the budget deal passed, or is he just fed up with them?
It reminds me of that line, I think it was Broadcast News, where the actor said, "I'm mad as hell, I'm not going to take it anymore," right? I think that really sums it up, that Boehner has been trying to mollify the conservative wing of his caucus in the Congress now for the last few years. And you've got these outside groups that are the ones who try to sort of push the Republican members of Congress to more hardline stances. And Boehner knows that he's having trouble controlling his caucus because of those groups. So he's lashing out at the groups. And what's interesting is that he felt comfortable enough to do it, which tells me that inside his caucus, he sees that those groups might not have the sort of same juice that they did 6 months ago or a year ago. That's what I thought was fascinating. The bigger story here is that it captures the tension in the Republican Party between the establishment wing of the party and the more conservative grassroots wing of the party. This is a sort of vivid example of that, but this has been going on now for years. It's happening here in Arkansas. You see it between the two wings of the party, and it's going to play out in some primaries here next year, certainly.
For over the private option.
Yeah, for both the State House over the private option that was passed in the Arkansas legislature on the Medicaid expansion as part of Obamacare. You'll probably see it play out in the congressional primaries too here next year. And it's part of a sort of national trend where the Republicans are trying to figure out who they are. And there's a sort of fight for the soul of their party, and it's now playing out in a public way like we haven't seen before.
Yeah, we mentioned, I mean, Roby and I say private option just like rolls off the tongue because that's been such a big, policy thing in Arkansas. But I mean, it sounds like
policy issue, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely. Right. And I mean, you have at least somewhat of a working knowledge. I mean, is there any talk about that concept outside of Arkansas? I mean, is that something people kind of paid attention to?
Absolutely. In fact, we did a story a few weeks back, a colleague of mine and I, about governors and the success of governors and their popularity and the unpopularity of Congress. And the most popular governor in America is a fellow named Mike Beebe, who y'all may have heard of.
I've heard of him.
And part of that story, we talked to Governor Beebe, and he told us that he's heard from, I think, a half a dozen or more Republican governors asking about what Arkansas did, the so-called private option to expand Medicaid here in the state, because he's hearing from governors who realize that there's a big chunk of money on the table from Washington, D.C. to ensure a lot more of their citizens, but they want to be able to do it in a way that politically they have some cover with their own base. And they see what Beebe did here with the help of a lot of Republicans, and they were curious about how it was done. So to answer your question, yeah, in fact, you've got governors in Iowa and Michigan who are looking at just that model to try to expand Medicaid in their states.
Yeah. Very good.
All right.
That's very solid app extra for Sunday morning. Hope people enjoy that with their extra
we appreciate you.
Cup of coffee. Jonathan Martin, once again. We will have another Capitol View app extra, of course, next Sunday as we get closer to the end of the year. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend.